Hi, again and again. I'm just gonna keep saying that. Anyway, so, whew, I don't even know where to start with this, but like, I'm just gonna go with my intuition. So, um, oh, by the way, the song that just played, that was, um, forgot the title, but that was not, no, that was, Petite Noir. I'll just say Noir Wave. But yeah, can't believe it took me so long to actually listen to Petite Noir's music because, like, to be honest, I don't know, I've always been strongly and viscerally attracted to who they are, but never quite delved into the music. Anyway, I believe that song was spiritually softly pushed, but like, well, not just the song, but like, you know, it was one of those things where the universe nudges at you until it just like until you go in through the door or you unveil the curtain and find little magical mysteries and treasures hidden in plain sight. Not even hidden, just like ignorance, right? Anyway, so numerology, I'll just start there. I'm probably gonna edit this before I post it. I don't know. I'm just obsessed with order, but it all makes sense. Okay, so numerology. Um, I'm not gonna try to explain right now, what it is, but I'm sure you know. And if you don't, I'll just look it up, or I will add the info after editing if I edit. But like speaking of that, since I've assigned myself a librarian of the Universal Knowledge Database, I want to think my intention is to mostly just like collect bits of information of like threads of stuff that inspire me that I found in the Universal Knowledge Database, and like just like make it easier for you to like find bits and bits of like interesting things that you can then follow on your own afterwards. So like teasers, or rather, is it I'm a DJ, or okay, I'm a curator of information. That's a librarian, I'm sure. Okay, yeah. Well, I was a I've been a curator in my past life, but I guess that's coming up now again. Okay, yeah, curator of knowledge of information, whatever. Anyway, so so now, I've had this app for a while, but never quite, I don't know. I guess it's just one of those divine timing situations. Anyway, so so yeah, for this video, I'm just gonna focus on my life path number. So I'm a 9. And first time I discovered this and actually, read up on what a life path number 9, what does that what it means. Instantly, that intuitive knowing and understanding and the infinite intelligence in me. Oh, it resonated on a level I appreciate a lot, I live for. So, and so this came at a time when I, in my past life, when I was really fed up with this existence, and it, like just made a whole lot of sense of why I've always felt like I've done this many times before, like many times, and and like it's just repeating cycles. And like even though I at the time, wouldn't necessarily say like um I don't know, sternly or explicitly that I remembered any like vivid particulars of past lives or whatever. Just something about this that is happening felt repetitive as fuck. And like, and like all those and I've just felt really, really deeply. And I'm starting to understand that part of that is probably, the long lineage of built up hurt and struggle and traumas that obviously, you know, um, just repeat themselves infinitely. But okay, so as a nine, also, learning that also means last reincarnation, right? So, and like, and I had always thought like I just want this to end. I want this like, like if we do reincarnate, which is a whole other thing that I also like always had trouble with, but like it felt good to like understand that or to find this little clue or little hope of like as a nine, this is probably the last of like the torturous cycle. And and so I guess I could say this, it's like those little embers of a spark that's gonna get lit and like, you know, fuel itself and like higher and higher. And now, okay, and now we're here. um, yeah, I lose trail of thoughts when I get in the feels. So I'm gonna try to to trace where I was. Okay, yeah. So, that really like solidified my interest in numerology, and I've always like found esoteric knowledge fascinating, any knowledge, intellectual, spiritual, truth seeker, now and forever, or knowledge seeker, not even truth seeker, because that's Anyway, this brings me to, let me just read this and then I'll just, if I feel the need to to pause at any point and like bring in a bit of context, I will. Okay, so life path 9. Let me start with behavior. Cool. Oof, my back. The people who are dominant by number 9 are different from all the rest in many ways. Their orientation is more humanitarian than personal. They care about the world and know about it too. They are intellectual, even though they are not leaders like number 8 and number 1 people. However, they can manipulate people by their way of communication. Okay, I have to put manipulate. See, semantics, right? Um, let's just like take that word as like objectively as possible and remove all the connotations of the word manipulate. I had to in my head when I read that. I was like, what's not? But I would say they can persuade. Yes, they can persuade people. Okay, by their way of communication. Communication is one of the essential traits of these people, which helps to put their ideas in front of others effectively. If, like, if you were to ask me when I was younger and, not knowing much about myself, not understanding much about reality, about life, about why I'm here, feeling alien in the world and like for most of my life. I'm 33 now, so like that's, let's just say more than half my life, or probably half, I don't know. I'm not gonna calculate right now. As much as I love numbers, no, I'm not gonna do that right now. But and for that first half or more of my life was, or rather what I could remember of it, because like my earliest period of life, so like as a kid, I still have like I have no memories of up to a certain point, and the ones that I do have are, just memories made, I don't know, just stories that I got from my mom and people and photographs and, but like nothing vivid. I mean, heck, I don't even remember my father, even though he passed away when, I don't know, maybe I was 4. But yeah, my memory, which at first I thought was like probably my weakest points, that I forget things. Now I understand that that's probably a superpower, like some things maybe are best forgotten. And in order to recontextualize what they mean to you at a divinely timed period of your life. Anyway, let me not lose track. So, yeah, so now, I feel like it's like one of those things that it's like a trauma response, probably, I don't know, that helps you focus on other things and like not, it's like, yeah, not, you get it. Not right now. Anyway, so for a long time, I struggled a lot with communicating my thoughts, my feelings, my inner world, which is immense and vast and magical. And I was, yeah, daydreamer. I mean, I still am, but yeah, I've always, like constantly manifesting dreams in my head. And because I couldn't communicate those dreams as vividly as they were in my head. I guess it's always been an insecurity and something that I'm still working on. I mean, even now, the fact that I will most probably edit this before you see it is, still remnants of and like signs of still being in the process of tapping into infinite intelligence and my infinite self and my God self, right? So yeah, and I mean now with all these, new terms that seem to have helped quite a lot of us actually, instead of, like the kind of stigma that may have been placed, before on these terms like autism, ADHD, neurodivergence, all these terms that, for one, for someone like me, give deeper understanding of oneself and with the potential to like transform oneself, you know, and unlock certain abilities and stuff. Over time, these terms get pathologized by our society and also then ourselves, right? And we internalize them however it is that they are presented to us and our perspective of them at that time. So anyway, like it's I always find it funny nowadays if like I happen to like find myself watching a clip or some short, some funny video about autism and like I just find myself laughing at how accurate it is. But like for me, it's like I was saying, it's just looking at these things as like just keys to like understanding yourself better and knowing how to maximize the potential of that unlocked treasure, like how to transmute that into a superpower instead of a pathology, right? So anyway, so yeah, struggled a lot and insecurities. And so like I would have never, I don't know, described my I don't know, felt like there was any resonance to this, except among the memories that are still hidden in my psyche is, a memory that my mom, has retold and for like, yeah, my whole life, which I'm grateful for, because like, even though for a long time, it felt foreign because I don't have any remembrance. Oh, oh shit, no. The one remembrance of this memory was the trauma that manifested from within. So like in preschool, at the end of preschool, there's, like a graduation and like so performances and stuff. And my mom always tells me that, yeah, at that, graduation and performance, I like then and before, like me as a kid, I've always been this, what this is saying. Always, and I was like outgoing and expressive, not necessarily outgoing, but like expressive and vibrant, and all the things that I am now tonight, re remembering, on a higher frequency, like a 4K download, cosmic download, which, is strengthening my connection to this true self of mine. So, like, always had been brilliant at all of those things. And if I could say anything, that's like my what I remember to be like when I was a kid, my dream job or dream career or whatever, what I wanted to do growing up. Always, my first memory is teacher, so like educator, and humanitarian. Like, I mean, I don't think I would have used that word then, but yeah, like just like it's all in the numbers, right? So, okay, continuing. Um, so yeah, next, let me continue. Their worldly knowledge and caring nature make them see equality everywhere. They would not see any difference between a janitor and a politician. They would not do any wrong to anyone, but my mistake. If they do, they would leave no stone unturned to make it right. That is so true. However, they have their own breakdowns and they tend to make them emotionally vulnerable, and eventually they are prone to become self destructive. Talking about breakdowns. So, at this graduation ceremony, we're doing performances, so that's acting, and I want to try to increase the light, like all types of artistic performances, and I was a brilliant kid. I mean, I, if my memory serves me well, I literally begged to leave preschool before time. So that's how I started school a year earlier than was standard at the time. So anyway, you know, excelling at everything. And so yeah, that is like the first emotional breakdown that I have like an intuitive memory of, but like I as much as I don't remember myself performing or doing any of those things that day, I remember crying and like gasping for air when I realized it was a competition and I didn't win anything. And the irony, like, I don't know, it's like for some reason, because oh yeah, part of the performances was a beauty contest. And so like everyone has like a number tag, and my tag was number one, right? So my young mind, I guess, like thought, okay, one. And I'm guessing when I realized that this was a competition and like, okay, I have this number one here, but like I didn't get acknowledged for any of it. Like I lost, like it did something to my brain. And like, I think that was probably, you know, where my lifelong fear of failure and feelings of inadequacy really started to take root. And for most of the life that I remember, after that point, I was like an extremely quiet kid. And it just, and like the older I got, all the way through to high school, it just, the self-destructive nature of that, yeah, like just increased and increased and increased and increased. Anyway, let me just continue here before, yeah, I'll just read the last line. If it, however, they have their own breakdowns and they tend to make them emotionally vulnerable, and eventually they're prone to become self-destructive. Okay, that was the last part. They do not stay in such a situation for a long time, as their pragmatic approach towards such situations help them to get out, to get out, to get out dust off their shoulders. And this part, when I was reading it earlier, yeah, I was like bawling because, like, for half of my life, this ability was like, it wasn't possible to get out of, to like just get up and like dust myself off. Like, it's like, the older I got, the harder it was to get up. And I mean, over a decade of depression and anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy, feeling like a failure, feeling like just destined to like the complete opposite of who I truly am. Feeling stuck. It just felt, and that's why I guess I've like attempted suicide so many times, because something about all these experiences all my life felt fraudulent. Like, I'm not, this is, like, felt alien and unnatural, and like, and it's like the world, like reality, the outer world as like a really powerful way of gaslighting you, even, you know? Knowing that this is, things shouldn't, something is wrong, and instead feeling like I'm wrong instead of what is true, which is like, no, you feel like that because deep down you know that this is not how it's supposed to feel. So anyway, so yeah, and finally, like Oh yeah, there's something I wanted to say in connection to. Oh yeah, feeling like an alien, like because Earth is fucking hard, and feeling like you know. And tonight, like as I'm going through all these numerical um insights and feeling so much like epiphanies and like relief and like finally feel like yes, like I've I've known this, like oh my God. So um sorry, just wanna I'm looking for what am I looking for? Candle. Mm, 'cause this one is about to okay, okay, okay. Okay. Sorry, I get distracted. Uh, what is it? Okay, anyway, it's fine. I'll fix it in post if I have to. Um, so yeah. So then, fine. I somehow, well, I say somehow in retrospect because at the time, sorry, excuse my ADHD brain, which can't seem to let go of fixations. Like if I'm looking for something, even if it's really insignificant at this time, I will fixate on finding it before I do. And actually, that's a trauma response, right? Okay, I'm gonna do something different and not fixate on it. Okay, so my first time experiencing this side of myself, my true self, experiencing ease in my in my true behavioral traits was through the use of um, what we call drugs. So from when I started, and not that, and I guess like not that it's a good or bad thing, but I mean, in like the most depressive parts of my life, or rather the beginnings of that, which was in high school, I had no idea of the concept of drugs even. I mean, I hear now that a lot of people in high school smoke smoke weed and stuff, and like that were like all of those things were like so out of my periphery. And I guess maybe at an earlier stage I would have like felt like, oh my God, life would have been better had this happened before. But no, I'm actually glad I wasn't aware, even though doesn't matter. Divine timing. Okay. So yeah, and so yeah, smoking weed in I think I started in college when I was, hey, look at that. I so after high school I went to a technical high school But like I've always been an artist. That's another, you know, thing that we'll talk about later. But I mean, I didn't want to continue at that school, and but you know, circumstances made it so that I complete my entire high school there, and like you know, and all those unwise choices, because of circumstances, just now in retrospect, it's like all of them were leading me further away from like the true self. Because like, okay, so after high school, I went to college to like do a course of art, because not having art as a subject in high school meant that, you know, like one barrier from me pursuing a creative education afterwards. I mean, I was going to apply for interior design, but for some reason I had to have some art experience. Weird, but it makes sense now. I'm actually connect. Anyway, the divine plan. Sorry, I keep pausing and dozing off because like I'm having like you know magical connections happening and like just marveling at how intricate the divine plan has been, and I can't help but like just wow, genius. Crazy, complicated, but genius. Anyway, so I'm saying, yeah, but so yeah, I went to college, I to do art, and that's where and like and none of my drug experiences have been coerced to me or like peer pressure type of thing. And that's, you know, another important part of this story. It was always a conscious decision on my part to explore any of these things. And so, yeah. So I was studying art, and then it's like that, just that choice unlocked, you know, something for me. So, like, me being able to be in a position where I'm like, hey, I'm going to try this. And, you know, bits of clarity coming in. I mean, it's been a slow process, but it worked out. Okay, now this is not me getting distracted. There's literally blazing fire there. I hope I don't put it down. I actually like watching it. Okay, so anyway, so me, oh yeah, and then later on in life, you know, I don't even know who or how I even came to know about psychedelics, but I just remember res Googling and researching psychoactive drugs and just drugs in general before even like, you know, finding myself doing wanting to try. No, not even before, you know, like having taken them. It had just always been a curiosity. And like and you know, and then eventually doing all of the drugs. Okay, obviously technically not all of the drugs, but all of the ones that have presented themselves to me, you know, I mean, and you know, and that, you know, was part of like unlearning the sort of like stigmas and propaganda about drug use, drug users, and even the word drugs and the whole concept, you know? Because for me, like in my experience with drugs, I had always been like, I just always found it sacred and always positive experience in a sense that it's always been a way of tapping into the truest self that I know I am, and not in a, like in a, what's the word? Inauthentic way at all. Never has been like a destructive, or a self-destructive, choice to do drugs. Like, never to, like, I don't know. Um, yeah, for me, it was always like, sorry, connections. I'm having mind orgasms right now, and I'm eyeing this fire here, just making sure that things don't get out of hand with the fire. So, and now, and obviously, the more experiences I would have on drugs, the more open my mind, the more expansive my self would be. And like, seeing or being around, like knowing that there are communities who, and people and individuals like that, the drugs are not the problem. Because just it's always just been like a very positive self-actualization experience, and like just like an, you know deep connection to spirit, deep connection to a higher self. And not to say this is with all drugs. I mean, I don't drink alcohol anymore, and this wasn't even like a deliberate choice. My body just said no, to a point where I had to make the deliberate choice of like just not even bothering to try, right? Because the body said no. So I get sick even with like 2 sips or a sip. The body just says no. So, and again, back to that, like, drugs are not the problem, right? And for society, and, you know, since I'm calling myself out, for society and myself to internalize these unbased ideas around, like experiences, like around my own personal experiences, and but it's like in the three-dimensional exterior world. It's like the opposite is being projected onto you, to a point where you start to internalize even these like very unbased and like, totally ridiculous ideologies about things that deep down, intuitively and experientially, are not the problem, right? And it's like, and that being one of the ways in which our shadow selves and, in more 3D terms, society keeps the status quo going, right? First by criminalizing people seeking to expand their their consciousness, to expand their higher self, their awareness, criminalizing them, and even the ones who might not be caught by by the criminal justice trap. It's like, even if, like, on a third density level, you wouldn't be deemed by society as a criminal, um, because of, I guess, your discretion, or like, even though you're not persecuted under law, and you manage to like keep this knowledge to yourself, you're kind of also forced to not only limit you're forced to, or rather coerced, manipulated, to internalize these untruthful ideologies in secret, because, like, if you were to ask anyone in like who deems themselves, I mean normal average us, and even like the biggest celebrities all over, and I think, and this is why I want to shout out to, oh man, Dr. What's his name? Carl, the professor, Dr. Carl, I'll remember, but I'm sure like, thanks to people like him who are now, oh, divine life, love lights, children sent, yeah, him, being this perfect example of this truth, you know, and yet being scrutinized by his own community, for just like stating the facts, right? Yeah, I see the light is going down. Maybe let me close this up with my point. Dr. Carl Hart, man, Dr. Carl Hart. Yeah. Um, yeah, so I'm trying to think of a way to just close this off. Soon enough and well enough to, I don't know, more than creating interest in like a continuation of this, but like, yeah, I would like to just reflect on this even more. And of course, create a more thorough form of content for all these, to just contextualize all these cosmic downloads that are now going into the universal knowledge database. As the diligent communicator, I would like to just like, yeah, be as comprehensive as possible. But for now, look out for a follow-up, fuller perspective, a deep dive into this and more. Like, guys, I went through, see, even my eyes are still red. I was bawling, but like, bowls of healing, tears of healing, of love, of all the good kind, of like just releasing and like all those tarot readings that were saying secret is about to be out, you know, like always rolled my eyes. But like, I mean, is it a secret? Anyway, I'm babbling now. Hopefully, I'll press publish now, but if I don't, I'll just post this tomorrow or something. I don't know. Okay, gonna continue this tomorrow. Maybe I'll go live, like not on practice mode. Um, we'll see. Okay, bye.